Hello, and welcome to FLA Live Arena. Is that what it's called? Sorry, I can't do a lot of the comments. I'll have the comments up, but my phone or my computer is on the other side of a partition to the upper deck. So I have to like reach across, and we're not going to do that. So you can put the comments in, but they're not going to put them up. I'll read them off. I can see them. I just can't read them. Nonetheless, let's start talking about a hockey game that I think is going to go down as like a really disappointing one for everybody who watched it. Everyone's going to kind of feel the same way of like, damn, that's a game that I think the Golden Knights could have won. That's a game the Golden Knights should have won. That's an opportunity to take the commanding lead, put themselves in a good position. And then obviously it does not happen, so they have the situation where they're playing well enough. I didn't like the first period as much as Cassidy did. Cassidy said he liked his first period, only allowing the 5 goals. I thought they were very good in front of the goal, getting in the way of a lot of what was going on, doing enough, in my opinion, to make it hard. But the forecheck was kind of the most effective that it's been for Florida all series in that game. That was the best that they had really looked. And then that kind of just shut off. And that's where, for me, this is a game that if you look at it from Vegas's point of view, yeah, it's disappointing. Yes, it's frustrating, but there's really only one goal to worry about. There's not a lot to be all that worried about. And even the one goal, it's a bit of a late situation. They potentially could have changed. Stone again gets kind of beat. Both of the 5-on-5 goals, it's Stone's legs that it goes through on a Montour goal, and then that one he kind of overskates it. Guy stops up. I think it was Bennett, passes it out. All of it. It's tiny little moments. And when you take the span of the entire game, which I think we should do, especially with how the series has gone to this point, the Golden Knights are in great shape. They played a good hockey game. They played arguably a great third period up until the one moment that went in. You really look back and like the dangerous opportunities that were there for Florida went in today. The dangerous opportunities for the Golden Knights, many of them did not. Bobrovsky had definitely his best game of the series. He was better than Hill. It's the first time we've seen that. And all these opportunities are there to look at this game and say, like, okay, it's 3 games in a row the Golden Knights have played well. It's 3 games in a row that they've put themselves in a good enough position to feel good about where they're at. And now moving forward, they're just going to have to continue playing that level of play and not allow this to snowball into something bigger than maybe it should have been. There's every piece really, again, is good. Like, I guess there's an argument to be made that Haig and Whitecloud and the same second or third line of whatever, the Stone line and Stevenson, they're out there for all 3 of the goals. Like, I guess that's a little bit disappointing, but for the most part, the forecheck of the Florida Panthers was not overwhelming to the Golden Knights. The breakouts of the Golden Knights were not as crisp and not as clean. And I will talk about the ice in a little bit because I do think the ice played a little bit of a factor in this game. And I think it's something the Golden Knights can make a slight adjustment with to make sure that they do get better as we go through and as we get into the next game. But as a whole, they weren't terrible breaking the puck out. The neutral zone was excellent down the middle of the game, certainly from second period on, and really for the 18 minutes heading into the right before the overtime, right before the goal, it was really, really good. And like allowing just 4 shots, putting themselves in a really good position. Sneak forward for you here. Like all of it was where they need to be, what they need to be doing to put themselves in a position to win each and every game. And unfortunately, this one ends up getting away because a couple of things didn't go their way as we got down the stretch of this game. So to me, you can't overdo this game. You don't want to lose your mind about this game because it certainly was not bad. Obviously, they need to be better on these 6-on-5 situations. That is the one aspect that I kind of look at all this and I say, well, they gave a Dallas game away that they ended up getting back. They gave a Winnipeg game away that they ended up giving back. They gave this game away that they ended up not getting back, and hopefully that doesn't change the entire outcome of the series because those last series weren't that close. This one, if the Golden Knights can just get the next one, also won't be that close, and it shouldn't make that big of an impact. But that is an aspect of the game that they have to be a little better at. And why? It's very simple why it's happening. They're defending the same way, and they're getting outnumbered in front of the goal. And when that happens, they're they're going to lose out. Like that's what they're normally not outnumbered at 5-on-5. They're not outnumbered. So when they're playing the same style and they throw an extra number in the middle, now when they're challenging out to the points or they're challenging hard out to the walls, all of a sudden they've got another number underneath them to take that shot that would not have been there previously. And then they have that extra player in front of the goal that can win the stick battle on the back end of it. And if they do get a rebound, Vegas' stick is not first on it. That's been basically the problem, of course, across all of these goals. Like the Pavelski goal is the exact same way. This goal is that same way, and the one that Lowry, I think, kind of chunked in right after they got the shot from the point. Like they're all kind of the same thing, where there's shots from a little bit further away. There's a rebound, there's a play in front, and they're just getting outnumbered. Today, Kachuk gets the inside position, makes that. That's the one piece that I do think they have to figure out what's going on. Yes, I apologize. The internet has been spotty, and I don't have the ability to plug in up here, unfortunately. But we'll get back to a lot of the things that have been going right and a lot of the reasons why I walk out of this game, unfortunately, having lost it. Yes, the Golden Knights have lost it, but I walk out of it saying I'm very confident that the Golden Knights can come in here 2 days from now on Saturday night and get this one and then bring it back with an opportunity to win the thing at home. Like, I will tell you all of the reasons why I expect that to certainly be a great opportunity and a great chance for the Golden Knights to do that. But first, I'll tell you that this Periscope and all Periscopes are brought to you by Conler Associates CPAs. Go to conlercpa.com, KONDLERCPA.com. Tell them SinBin sent you. SinBin sent you. I don't know what I said before. And they will hook you up with a free consultation. They will make sure that they can take care of all your tax needs. Fantastic hockey fans, fantastic fans of our favorite team, fantastic fans of SinBin. Great family-owned business, awesome people. KONDLERCPA.com. You will not regret it. If you have any tax needs, promise me that you will go there. It would make my day if you do that. So I'll start with special teams, because this game is basically won on special teams for the Golden Knights. Obviously, then it gets away, and now we can't say that because they didn't win the game. But this is the first game in a while, and really for a long time, that it's been dominant special teams. The 5 penalty kills. I even got it wrong in the press conference. I said that they were 4 for 4. They're actually were 5 for 5 tonight. It's now 12 for 12. Now, that part, 4 per game is too many for the Golden Knights. Now, I know that the other team's going to take a lot, and that's probably going to lead to a few more for the Golden Knights just because refs are refs. But 4 per game's too many. So they got to be careful there. However, the penalty kill not only was good to start, not only continued to be good on the entries, which has been fantastic basically across all of the games to this point, all 12 power plays to this point, but beyond that, there was one aspect that was kept happening, which was the only real point of danger that we saw out of Florida on their power play, and that's they were getting the puck into the middle, into the bumper to Bennett. And the last 2, I want to say, maybe even the last 3, they took that away and could not get anything in there. And that's where the Golden Knights made even an adjustment inside of this game, let alone the adjustments they made to start this, which has been awesome on killing off the entries, but also to make that adjustment inside of that. It shows that the Golden Knights are continuing to grow in this series, continuing to do things that make them a little bit better as it's gone on. And unfortunately, it does not show up in this game by the end of it. It did. They were 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. They scored multiple goals in the power play. They dominated the game at special teams. And at 5-on-5, they were forcing the penalties more so than what the ones that they were taking. A couple of them, sticks up high. The boarding play by Carey, I didn't particularly like. Kind of boneheaded, and boneheaded's a little strong. Just like penalties, the Golden Knights don't take uncharacteristic penalties that they don't normally take. The one on Eichel, it's close. It doesn't have to be called there. Whatever. There were so many for the Golden Knights that it's fine. But so in this game, that's one aspect. Power play. I thought they were dangerous consistently. I went into overtime certainly thinking the Golden Knights were going to get one. I had the expectation that Vegas was going to get one going into overtime. Unfortunately, the one opportunity that I thought was finally there, shot from Theodore kind of bounces off over to Eichel's stick. I thought that's rip that thing. That's a goal, and we're headed home, or we're headed to game 4, 3-0. He doesn't, unfortunately, and then we end up with what happened on the back end. But I'll keep going on with a couple of other things that I really liked, including two things that I really, really, really liked in the third period that I couldn't believe. Now that looking back, it's like, oh my God, I cannot believe that this ended up being a situation. The Golden Knights did not win because they did two things unbelievably well in the third period. But first, I'll tell you that when I go on the road, well, the reason I'm at FLA Live Arena right now, and this is not a green screen behind me, and I sat up there, I guess. I can't figure it out. By the way, these white curtains are cool. These white curtains, they bring them down and then they like project images on them. It's really neat. They put eyes on them. It's really cool. Their pre-game's obviously nowhere near the Golden Knights, not horribly surprising, but it was kind of nice. And like the crowd definitely got into it. It was a good crowd, but whatever. Back to why I'm here is because Vegas Night and Day Heating and Cooling has sent me. And you can go to vkdac.com, 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 and tell them that SinBin sent you, or don't. Either way, you probably should, because they will give you the pre-summer maintenance special. Vegas Night and Day Heating and Cooling will come out to your house for $50 and make sure that your air conditioner is ready for 100+ degree heat. And if there's humidity like there is down here, they'll make sure it's ready for that too. And then if you do need fixes, they have discounts specifically for SinBin fans. So go to vkdac.com, Vegas Night and Day Heating and Cooling. Fantastic family-owned company, small business, not a giant air conditioning people, small business, good people, love them. All right, two things the Golden Knights did well. Number one is the one that I think you probably noticed straight off the top, and that is they were tremendous at holding the middle of the ice out, keeping the puck away from the middle of the ice, whether Florida was coming from underneath the goal, from the half wall, from trying to get it off the rush, from trying to get it back from low to high. Every single thing they tried to do, Vegas had sticks and bodies in the way constantly at making sure that that wasn't going to be a problem as they continue to try to kill that off. It ends up in a situation where they had 4 shots headed into 18 minutes deep into the third period. 4 shots trailing the entire period. That is a clinic defensively. Like the Golden Knights put on an absolute 5-on-5 defensive clinic in the third period against a team that can forecheck, that can get to the middle, that can hit some of these seam passes, that's in the Stanley Cup final because they've beat 3 very good teams. That's a huge, huge notch on the Golden Knights belt that you can look at and say, okay, the next time we're able to get a lead, which I believe there will be another one, we can do that and make sure that they're going to continue to keep them away from the inside, continue to make sure that that's not going to be the dangerous point, and that maybe now we just need to correct that 6-on-5 thing, get one out, get that shot down, and make sure the opportunity is there to win the game, as opposed to giving them that opportunity where they are getting that odd man in front. The second thing is neutral zone. In this third period, the Golden Knights went to their classic, let's wait for you to blow it type of defense. It's a very powerful defense, and there were multiple moments where the Panthers blew it, and Barbashev had the opportunity, and there was another one, I can't remember the other one, there was another really dangerous, another opportunity, mainly the Barbashev one off the post. They had all these great chances, some great chances, mainly because the focus was not getting heavy in on the forecheck and keeping the puck far away. The focus was, let's lock in the neutral zone so that every single entry that Florida gets, every single one, they have to go through player after player after player to get it in. They're going to have to go through all 5, or at the very least 4 set up in a nice box 2-2 so that they're really stacked up along the blue line. They have to dump it in. They're not getting clean entry. Golden Knights were tremendous at this. They did not ever have a rush chance that wasn't a wacky shot from a long way away with a puck underneath. And yes, Cody, super positive Periscope for a team that just blew a lead. I get that, and I understand that. But when you look at the course of the game and you look at all of it to what had happened, the Golden Knights played a good enough game to win this game. Unfortunately, it doesn't go that way. But if you play like you played tonight, if you play like you play in period 1 and 2 of game 2, if you play like you play in period 3 of game 1, play like that, that's 9 periods or 6, whatever. It's a lot of periods, which the Golden Knights have been better. And really, the best period that Florida has played in this entire series was game 1 tonight, and it ends up 1-1 because Vegas ends up forcing them into a silly penalty by Gudis and then forcing them into the 4-on-4 penalty. They get the 4-on-3, and Vegas is very good at 4-on-3. So they put themselves in that position to erase even the poor period, which Cassidy didn't even say he disliked all that much, which I'm going to have to take another look at maybe tomorrow and get more information to see if that's actually true. But yeah, I'm not that down about this. Now, we will probably be down about this if this same thing were to happen again, because there's not that many games left. At most, there's now 4 games left. The Golden Knights need to find a way to win 2 of them. Should be possible still, especially if they keep playing the way that they've been playing. Goaltending becomes a little bit of an issue today solely because Bobrovsky was tremendous. Bobrovsky played the best game that he's played in the series. I wouldn't say Hill played a bad game, but he didn't really have to make the big time saves, and he wasn't there to make the one that they absolutely needed. And again, there's a screen in front of him. Kachuk's potentially going to get the tip. It's a shot from the slot with 2 defensemen in front. Like, usually we're going to get that save. We end up not getting that save in that moment, but Bobrovsky was terrific. So they have to make sure that they're getting these great chances constantly so that they are going to be able to beat Bobrovsky more than twice. I think moving forward, if the game goes the same way that it did today, they will continue to get these chances. And yeah, Angelo says you got to shoot high. I completely agree. If you're in tight, you got to get it up there. You got to get it up, and he's going to go, you have to get it up top. And that is the scout on Bobrovsky, and they absolutely needs to happen. So overall, like, I can't stop stressing the fact that, like, if this were a regular season game, if we were walking off this game, the Golden Knights lost this in overtime, or say that goal or whatever they give up 2 at the end, whatever. Say this walks away as like a loss, right? I'll use the Paul Maurice scale of tough from lumpy oatmeal to root canal. It's closer to lumpy oatmeal, actually. It's disappointing. It's far enough away from lumpy oatmeal that it's like, yeah, this is a little worse. It would be like lumpy oatmeal that's like old and maybe gives you slight sickness. Like you got like the gas from that. I don't know. Do you get gas? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like not great. Doesn't sit well with you. Maybe you have a rough rest of the night from the lumpy oatmeal. But this is not end of the world stuff, because the Golden Knights were good over the course of it. And again, if this were a regular season game, we would walk out and say, goalie was good. They got an opportunity that we need to correct. It was something we can absolutely work on, and we'll be able to be better in the next game. Now, you got to be better against this team, and there is a little bit of concern now that Brandon Montour has a goal. Kachuk's all of a sudden making a lot more of an impact. I thought Barkov came on late. I really didn't like those 2 minutes right after the goal. I thought that was an opportunity with all the rats on the ice that we're here. All right, we've got a chance. Let's settle down. Let's make sure that we're getting back to what we need to do. And I thought once that puck was dropped, Vegas should be able to get back on the forecheck, be able to really push the energy and get back to where they needed to. Didn't really happen until the one zone entry. Stevenson gets the play. And again, they get that opportunity to grab the power play, and the power play just didn't come through. Hard to blame the power play. They scored twice on it today. So no 5-on-5 goals. I guess that's a slight concern, and that goes to Bob and how darn good he was today. But again, there's not a lot. Like, you think about all the aspects of this game that you don't like. There are individual moments. Don't get me wrong. I couldn't stand the fact that Mark Stone overskated that, and we don't kill that play right at the blue line to change the game right there, get your change, and not allow that dangerous chance down the slot. That's a play he makes most of the time. That's a play he's going to make next time it comes up. I'm not worried about that. Same thing goes with the one that went through his legs. Kachuk, or maybe it was around him. I don't know. I didn't see that good of a replay. Their first goal, the Montour goal, like, it gets around Stone. That normally doesn't happen. So to me, those are minor issues that it's like a play here, a play there. A couple of the finishing opportunities, like Barbashev hits the post, not really that bothered about that. There's a couple in tight. I think you probably want to finish that one that Howden had, that he made the good save on that one. But again, you get the good shot on goal. He makes a good stop. There's a 2-on-0 that ends up in his pads that if we can push that a little bit further, these are just missed opportunities that the Golden Knights have been really good on throughout, what has it been, 20 playoff games now. They're 14-6. 20 playoff games. You're playing a good team. So, yeah, all right. So let me talk about the ice. So knowing coming into Florida, Florida historically does not have great ice, whether that's you come in December, you come in June, you come anywhere in between, they do not have good ice. The Golden Knights knew coming into this game that was going to be the case. When the Golden Knights play on bad ice, they have to simplify. And by that, I mean they've got to simplify through the neutral zone. They have to simplify getting it in deep. And to get a lot of the forecheck pressure that they were able to get and to have to force them to deal with some of the bouncing pucks going back, that's where you have to make sure that you're playing that slightly simpler game. And I kind of asked Petrangelo a little bit about it, like what was one aspect that you thought you could get better at? And he mentioned with some ice that is a little bit choppy and you get in these situations, they have to make it so that it's a lot simpler coming out, going in, making all these plays through the middle. And even then, also on some of these 2-on-1s, if you get these odd man rushes, do what Marchessault did. Get that pass over early so now we can have another opportunity to take that shot. It's a little bit cleaner and put yourself in a better position. I just think all of it, like, they just have to be a little bit more aware. And I think normally, if you play on bad ice one day, you come back 2 days later, they should have a better feel for it. Maybe they didn't know how bad it was going to be. I do think they came in knowing it was going to be troublesome. And I do think that it degrades as the game goes on to a level that you aren't necessarily used to. And I'm not, again, like they both play on the same ice. You know, this game was not out of hand for the Golden Knights at all. 58 minutes, they're up 2-1. You're in a great position to win the game. It felt like Florida had nothing. They had nothing going on. Like they were not generating a bunch of dangerous opportunities. They were having a hard time getting in the zone. There wasn't a lot going on, and they felt demoralized. Now, coming back, I'll talk a little bit about game 4 before I get out of here, which is now that they are probably less demoralized about what's going on, we've got to be ready for that push. What happened at the beginning of this game tonight, they got to be ready for a little bit more of that. That forecheck is starting to understand. I think Cody posted in there the hit numbers. The hits came way down. They were in the 30s and the 40s, big time hit numbers back when we were in Vegas. Maurice specifically said, we're wasting energy doing that. They brought it down in this particular game. And I think, at least the way I saw it, I think that really kind of focused in their energy on how they wanted to forecheck. Yeah, Cody, 18-14 Vegas, not a lot of hitting. I think that's something that the Golden Knights are going to have to get used to, which is they're still going to play physically on the forecheck, but the focus is more going to be on the puck as opposed to on the body. And Vegas is going to have to win some more of these stick checks, be a little bit better along the walls. I don't think they were bad. I can't stop saying that. But over and over, there were some of these times, and I thought the worst part of it was probably underneath the goal line. Vegas underneath the red line off or defensively, I thought was a little bit not as good. It was basically everybody. I'm trying to think of a couple situations that jumped to mind, but I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular because I just don't think it was that bad. Daniel's asking, shouldn't the rink have a standard requirement? They do. They do their best. It is humid. They have 20,000 people that come into this building. It is hot outside. It is older ice equipment because this is not the newest building in the world. It's not going to be good. Like, people pick on hockey in the desert or hockey in the South or whatever and say, like, it's a challenge and it shouldn't be there. Nature-wise, yeah, we probably should not be playing on an ice rink, a game that is supposed to be on frozen ponds in the middle of June in Miami, Florida, or Sunrise, Florida. We should not be doing that, but we are. So there's not a lot you can do about it. Like, that's the way that it's going to work. So you've got to be ready for it. It's like you go into the game understanding that that's going to be part of the game. Be aware with making sure that that's going to be part of the game. I think they will be better. And I wonder now with the overtime game, it didn't go that far. They've got, it was a late game. It's 12:36 here right now. Like, it's possible they practice tomorrow and skate tomorrow, but I think it's more likely we end up going into the next game with a pretty hard morning skate with a little bit more. I think they're going to use more of the ice in practice to make sure that they're more ready for some of these, kind of dealing with bouncing pucks, that type of thing. Do you see Cassidy making any changes? I do not. I don't think that this was a poor game. I don't think that any of the lines or any of the pairs need switching. If it happens again that there's 3 goals against the Stone line and 3 goals against the Hague and White Cloud pair, yeah, we might need to look at it at that point. But I do not expect that to be the case. Again, Conler CPA is the sponsor of the Periscopes. They are the sponsor of every Periscope all season long. There will be at least 2 more. Hopefully, there's only 2 more. And then we'll go from there. Conler CPA, KONDLER CPA.com. Ask your questions now. I'll take a few questions before I get out of here. And while you put those questions in there, I will tell you that VKDAC.com is your best website to go to when you need any sort of help with your air conditioning. Vegas night and day, heating and cooling, fantastic local company. What is this? Did we witness a shift in the series? I do not believe we've witnessed a full shift in the series. I think the Golden Knights are still in pretty good shape heading into game 4. What have I eaten so far in Sunrise? We went to a Mexican place on the beach in Fort Lauderdale today. It was cool. Wish they would have let us sit outside. Apparently the floor was too slippery. I don't understand how there's slippery floors. In Florida, it rains every goddamn day and you have outdoor seating. Maybe let's get that one fixed. The place was good. The place was nice. I enjoyed it. And then we ate it. I ate at Versailles. Versailles. Maybe they do pronounce it Versailles. I don't know. Versailles is probably how I would pronounce it. Cuban place, one of the most famous Cuban places in the entire world. And it's down kind of just south of the airport in Little Havana. It was spectacular. I had tikka de vaca pollo or something like that. It was awesome. Chicken, onions, rice. It was so good. Let's see. Was this the first time this playoffs that the Golden Knights played well and lost? Game 1, Winnipeg, they played poorly. Both of the games against Edmonton, they played poorly. Dallas, I don't think they played that poorly in the overtime game in Dallas. So I guess maybe that one. But other than that, yeah, I guess. Best food I've had so far, that would have to be Versailles, whatever you want to call it. Florida men, the best I've seen so far, and it's not even, it was more just like Florida style. We're trying to go to a Wawa. For those of you from the East Coast that know Wawa, I was trying to show Jesse what a Wawa is because Wawa is fantastic. And they had a side entrance to the Wawa, and there was a do not enter sign to go in. And I'm like, yeah, I pulled up. I was like, I'm going to go for it. And I went for it. And then I got out the other side, and there's a do not enter sign going the way that you're supposed to go from the other. I don't understand. Couldn't get in either way. I don't know. That was Florida. The drivers here are rough. But I have not seen any true great Florida men. I'm hoping to see some of it tomorrow. I may tell you more about what we're doing tomorrow later. We'll see. It's not official that we're going to do it, so we'll have to see. We will go. I will end it with my game 4 prediction and player to watch that Liam asked for. A couple other people have asked for it. I'll also Cody's 1 to 10 concern on the story. Yes, you're right, Nick. I was the Florida man at Wawa, except that I wasn't. All right, so 1 to 10 concern on the series. It's a 3. It's still the Stanley Cup final. It's still 1 game away from potentially being tied. That will go up to a 5 or a 6 if they were to lose the next game, no question about it. But they still have a 1-game lead in the Stanley Cup final. I still feel pretty darn good that the Golden Knights are going to win the Stanley Cup when this is all said and done. That being said, game 4, I'll make my prediction. They're going to win. I think they're going to win. Hopefully, my prediction at the beginning wasn't backwards, where I said all the home teams or all the road teams are going to win. And so far, it's been all the home teams. Maybe I'm not an oracle. I don't know. But I think the Golden Knights are going to win the next game. I think they're going to come out hotter. I think they'll get the first goal. I think they'll put themselves in a good position to make sure something happens. No, the reason I missed goalie interference was because the flight landed so late. Then I had to go get the car before the car place closed. So I had no way to get in there. And then when I finally had it, they were like within the last 10 minutes of wrapping up. And that's when I went to Versailles, whatever you want to call it, Versailles. There's not an S at the end of that. Place was fantastic. No clothing optional beaches. What are you talking about? Who do you think I am? So yeah, the Golden Knights are going to come out. They're going to score the first goal. They're going to play a good first period, put themselves in a good position, quiet this crowd down a little bit, who is pretty pumped. The rat thing's pretty cool. I got to give it to them. That was pretty neat. Seeing it come, it was a little weird to see it come down when they scored the tying goal. I didn't understand that, why we had the delay on the tying goal for the Rats. But then, for the game winner, that was pretty neat. There were a lot of those on the ice. That was pretty cool. But I'll take Golden Knights win the next game. 4-2 is my final that I will give you for the next game. 4-2. That's what I'm going with. Thanks again to Condor and Associates CPAs for sponsoring every Periscope this season, all the way through this postseason, all the way on this amazing run. And thank you, of course, to Vegas Night and Day Heating and Cooling for sponsoring all my travel. I'm here right now because of Vegas Night and Day Heating and Cooling. And despite the fact that Vegas Night and Day Heating and Cooling will sponsor me to come back if we have to, I still don't want to. Let's not come back. I would much rather not come back. That's what I'm going to end it on. Don't be all that panicky about this game. The Golden Knights played well. They just didn't win it. They're up 2-1, and they've outplayed their opponent in the Stanley Cup final 3 times in a row. 1, 2, 3 games in a row. The Golden Knights have been the better team. It's 2-1. It's going to be fine. Do it 3 more times. They will win at least 2 of them, and we'll have some fun. That's what I expect. That's what I think is going to happen. Good night. 12:42. This time zone blows.